We are in the village of Mill River in Immaculate Conception Church. The entire parish encompasses an amazing 800 square miles and includes 3 churches: Immaculate Conception, Our Lady of the Valley in Sheffield, and Our Lady of the Hills in Monterey. Immaculate Conception is the oldest of the 3 and marked its 150th anniversary this year. During the great waves of migration in the 1800s, the Irish came to America to escape disease, poverty, and persecution. They made a new life for themselves in the Berkshires here, working the mills of Mill River. Steve Kiltonick tells us how one church was established for the Irish as a result of a devout priest's strong faith.
In the mid-1800s, Mill River was a bustling paper manufacturing center. It was the water power of the Concomput River, which dropped nearly 130 feet in a mile and a half as it wound through the village, that gave rise to the 11 mills along its banks. Today, only a few remnants of the paper-making industry can be found. Most mills closed by the turn of the century, and the horse and buggy couldn't keep pace economically with the railroads. Claudette Callahan is the historian for Immaculate Conception, which has remained a mission of Our Lady of the Valley Parish in Sheffield since 1901. It was the Irish, mainly from the Dublin area, who were recruited by the mill owners to work here.
They needed expertise, so they imported Irish paper makers from Ireland, of course. And the first one was Timothy Wrinkle, and he was followed by many, many other Irish families. There were 500 in all.
In Wrinkle's house, the first Catholic Mass was celebrated by Reverend John Brady in 1841. As the mills flourished, so too did the Irish population, as many homes and a schoolhouse were built. But the Irish still did not have a place nearby in which to worship. The closest churches were either in Pittsfield or Springfield. It was only through the faith and devotion of a young priest from Italy, Father Peter Magnetti, that a church was ultimately established in Mill River. As the story goes, while in his native country, Father Magnetti became very ill and near death when he made a promise.
He vowed if he became well enough to come to the United States that he would build a church in honor of Mary. And I think the Immaculate Conception was declared right around that time.
After Father Magnetti fully recovered, he left Italy to become the first pastor of St. Peter's in Great Barrington. Father Magnetti then answered the wishes of the Mill River Irish when he built on land given by a non-Catholic Immaculate Conception Church. On August 5, 1866, Archbishop John Joseph Williams from Boston attended the church dedication, fulfilling the vow of Father Magnetti. The simple, white, clapboard church stands on the slope of a wooded hill in the center of town. It remains the oldest original Catholic church in western Massachusetts. On August 7th, Immaculate Conception celebrated the 150th anniversary of its church building. Concelebrating the anniversary Mass was Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky, Father Bruce Teague, administrator of Immaculate Conception and Our Lady of the Valley Parish, Pastor Emeritus Father John Liss, and Father Jeffrey Deeker, a stigmatine priest from Pittsfield. Many former parishioners of Immaculate Conception returned to take part in the celebration.
The people who gather today are really the spiritual sons and daughters of those founders, and we really feel that bond with them, that those who have gone before us help to pass the faith along in generations.
Hugh Fitzpatrick traveled from Washington, Connecticut. His roots trace back to his grandparents from Nova Scotia, who arrived during the early days of the church to work in the horse business. Fitzpatrick's father got the pipeless furnace going to heat the church before Mass.
I always admired my father, especially for having very strong faith. And it did pass down to us. I'm very grateful that it did. I can remember most of the people. It was a still small parish, and it was Irish heaven. I mean, once in a while, an Emperor would sneak in or some other name, but it was 90% Irish. And we were like little cattle. We always went to the same pew.
John Wrinkle's family tree goes back to one of the church founders, Timothy Wrinkle.
It gives you a real sense of family and belonging. It's nice to know that you've been, not personally, but my family's been part of a very important institution within the United States, to have your family actually help to build a church.
We have a small parish, as you can see, because the church is small, but the parishioners are so dedicated. They are all involved. They all have some part, some that they do every week. There are some in the choir. There are some that help with the altar cloths. There are some that do the flowers.
The Maycocks, Mark, Mary, and their 5 children, represent just one of the many families here who contribute to the life fabric of the church. Both are active in various church organizations, and their kids are also involved. Gabriella plays the piano in the choir. Joe serves as a lector. Justin and Nadia are altar servers. At Immaculate Conception, everyone is welcome.
It's small. It's really like a family, and I think Father Bruce likes it to be welcoming to all people, whether they're single, whether they're part of a family, elderly, young. He wants everyone to feel welcome.
The original church structure has remained unscathed for 150 years. But while it has managed to avoid a major catastrophe, there was a close call a few years back.
We were having Easter Mass, and one of the bulbs in the chandelier just started flaming. So everybody got out. The fire chief at the time was in the church. The fire department came up, and we had Mass in the parking lot.
In the late 1960s, the walls were graced with the works of a famous artist.
We were fortunate to have Eugene Foldecki come. He was an artist from Austria, and again, as someone who made a vow that if he survived World War II, he was in the Austrian army, he would come to the United States and dedicate his life to Mary, promoting the story of Mary. And he did the paintings which you see around here on the walls.
Over the years, 28 priests have faithfully served as pastors of Immaculate Conception. Some of the more notable highlights from the past include the 100th anniversary, which was celebrated by Bishop Christopher Weldon, and the 125th anniversary Mass, which was attended by Bishop Joseph McGuire. During Mass, a papal blessing from Pope Francis was shown to the congregation by Bishop Rosansky. After Mass, the celebration continued at the American Legion Hall in Sheffield, where all gathered for a luncheon reception. Just down the street, across from the general store on library grounds, stands a memorial to those who served during times of war. Many of these veterans were once members of Immaculate Conception. They and some brave Irish pioneers before them knew all about sacrifice. And it was the unwavering faith and spirit of an Italian priest which made Immaculate Conception possible so many years ago. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
Steve tells us that this month a couple from Boston will be married right here in Immaculate Conception. They were looking for a traditional, quaint New England church to celebrate their new life together, and this church fit the bill. Congratulations to all here in Mill River, and if you have never been out this way, it is worth the trip. It would make a really nice Sunday drive.